Censorship. Warning. Censorship. Warning. Censorship. Warning. Censorship.
Oh, hey, everybody. This is the Rebel News daily live stream. We haven't done this thing in a couple of weeks, so let's see if I remember exactly how to host a show, or at least co-host a show with my friend Adam Sos in Calgary. Adam, how's it going? And Happy New Year. What did you do for New Year's?
Happy New Year. You know, we took it pretty easy. We just hung out with our family, stayed at home, looked out the window, watched some fireworks. It was pretty easy going. How about yourself?
Could you see the Gun Read fireworks show from Calgary? Because I was a frequent flyer visitor to the local gas station up on the highway from my house. He's like, "Oh, Sheila, hi. Nice to see you again. More fireworks." I'm like, yep. I am setting off fireworks with my kids. It was really cold. Yeah, there's I don't know if you can see it. My father-in-law and my daughter. It was like a minus 30 something. It doesn't even matter after minus 25. Yeah. And we set off a couple $100 worth of fireworks over the course of 2 nights. So that was pretty fun. It was one of those days where you realize, if I do live in the city, I will wither and die like a neglected house plant. I just could not do the things that I love to do if I lived in a city.
I'm envious.
We'll get you out of the hellscape of Calgary one day, Adam. Just so that everybody knows what we're doing here. I'll get into that in a second, but we're trying something a little bit new. We're both on Zoom, which I think is leading to a little bit of a loss in quality, but bear with us. Because you're here for the news and the commentary and not so much our pretty faces. So this is the Rebel News daily live stream. It used to just be hosted on Friday by Ezra Levant. But then the pandemic struck. There was more news than ever, but your local media, they weren't really talking about changing restrictions as they go day by day. And the federal mainstream media, the national mainstream media, they sort of were all perched outside of Justin Trudeau's hidey hole at Rideau Cottage, waiting for him to emerge like some sort of COVID groundhog every day for his 15 minutes of press conference. And we thought, the news is happening moment by moment. And sometimes the best way to talk about it is sort of spontaneously as it happens. Every day we now sit down with our viewers and for me, another one of my Rebel News colleagues, and we just talk about the news as it happens. And it used to be a great way for people to support the work that we do completely willingly through something called a super chat on YouTube. But then Joe Biden got elected and big tech really didn't have to pretend anymore that it was a place of free speech, that it was the digital public square. And they censored conservatives left and right. Hard censorship by just canceling their channels altogether, and soft censorship by demonetizing them, starving them and cutting them off from their support, which is what they did to us. But, when people don't want me around, that's generally how you get more of me, or at least the same amount of me. And so we have not abandoned our nearly 1.6 million YouTube subscribers. We still start our broadcast there, but we also simultaneously broadcast on other platforms that say that they don't care about your politics. And that's really what I want. I don't want a platform to be conservative. I don't care. I don't care about their politics, but I particularly don't want them to care about mine. So those other platforms are Rumble, Odyssey, and Super U. And all of those platforms give you the ability to support the work that we do in a few different ways. So Odyssey, you can leave us something called Hyper Chat. And you can do that through their library cryptocurrency or through regular old-fashioned fiat currency, which is the only one that I understand. And Rumble allows you to do a rant, and Super U allows you to tip us as a creator or talk back and forth through something called a Super U shout. So while we are currently broadcasting on YouTube, there will come a time in the show where we say, we're reaching the red zone of the things YouTube allows us to talk about, because it's not just the demonetization censorship that they're doing. There are also certain things that you cannot talk about on YouTube. And one of those is basically anything to do with the pandemic. If you question the authority of your local public health officials, who are now not just the wealthiest bureaucrats in whatever jurisdiction in which they work, but they are also infallible. They're sort of like the Pope of public health these days. And if you talk poorly of them or question the decisions that they're making, even though their decisions change day by day, you are basically guilty of big tech heresy, and they will cancel you altogether. So we will talk about those things, and we will continue to talk about those things. We just won't be able to do it on YouTube. So when we leave YouTube, we hope you join us on one of those other platforms today. So, or just go there right now, just leave, go there right now. That works for me too. So I think that's all the nuts and bolts out of the way. We do have some fun stuff to talk about, like this romantic New Year's engagement in New York City. And this is just, it drives me when I see this stuff. It irritates me more than it should. Anyway, why don't we roll it?
And she said yes. She said yes. Yo.
Oh my God.
9 months from now. You know
Cover your nose. Cover your nose.
That's the show. I am so down to host too. You better hit me up for that one, Ryan. But truly hosting this one has brought me so much joy. This feels like pure magic. Back over to you, Ryan. Oh, you beautiful.
What a magical moment.
That's so, I don't know why it irritates me so much, because it's got nothing to do with me, but maybe it's because I look at these people and I have great empathy for them, because they are victims of a deeply damaged psyche thanks to TV fortified anxiety. But imagine that this is the day that your beloved proposes to you and you kiss them wearing a mask. Like
smushing your faces together. Like they're not going to go home and take off the masks and kiss.
I guarantee, just based on demographics, those people probably live together. They probably eat 3 square meals together, hold hands, share a bathroom, all those things. But their TV proposal was separated by 2 pieces of disposable cloth. I see it all the time. I see couples walking down the street, holding hands. No one's around them. They're outside. And they're both wearing masks. Yeah. And sometimes I roll down the window, particularly when my daughter's driving, because I think it embarrasses her. And I'll just remind them, because I think that they don't know. I don't want to read in malice into this. I think that they've forgotten. And I just remind them, like, hey, you're wearing masks and you're holding hands, right? And sometimes they take them off, sometimes they don't. But I'm being the good Samaritan and reminding them, what you're doing isn't normal. It's not normal.
Sheila, thank you for your service.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Adam. We should move on a little bit because as David Menzies says, the show is a real packed sausage. Quebec returns to lockdowns and curfews, and you can't even walk your dog during this curfew. It sounds like they might be making an exemption for dogs being forced to do their business in the house. But lockdowns and curfews are back in Quebec. They've had 1 arrest and 57 tickets issued over the first weekend of the curfew. And we have pulled a bit of a reverse AOC. Yeah, I'll get to our reverse AOC in a second. But 1 arrest, 57 tickets. Because walking outside with your dog now is an act of civil disobedience. What has happened here?
Well, and there's all the factors about the times where you can and can't for safety, because
I know. I want to say it because we're still on YouTube, but it's funny how these things, I follow the science, and apparently things change after a certain time of day. And again, I'm not sure if they've made, and I'll ask our friend Yankee, who might be popping on with us. So if you're around, please stay tuned. But I want to ask Yankee if they're making exemptions for religious Jews, particularly in the Outremont neighborhood, because we had so many Fight the Fines tickets coming from religious Jews who could not abide the lockdown on a Friday night. Yeah. They had to go to synagogue, and they would be stopped by police who would just stage themselves in largely Orthodox Jewish neighborhoods and just start ticketing people on their way to church outside. And I'm curious if some of those restrictions were changed around that, but I highly doubt it since they forgot that people also need to walk their dogs.
And this is footage that is going around the world. This is often footage we'll see these massive protests or these events or these lockdowns in South America or Europe somewhere, and people are like, wow, this is absolutely unbelievable. Or even Australia has been pretty egregious. And we're like, thank God that isn't happening here. Well, it is. That footage, that military style vehicles rolling through the streets, big paddy wagons, that's here in our own backyard. And something like 25% of the population of Canada is now living in those lockdown type restrictions. Very often, as you said, religious communities not being able to do what they have to do per their religious obligations based on these restrictions. Extremely troubling. Yankee, as we know, has been covering the beat. I think he's going to be joining us, as we said, any minute for an update. Yeah, Yankee's going to be joining us just momentarily here. 80's going to add him to the call and he can give us an update from the streets. He's been our lockdown on the streets reporter covering this. No lack of interactions with police officers and freedom fighters who are out there breaking the curfew. So he's the man to give us an update on the job.
Yeah, you know, freedom fighters breaking the curfew is apparently religious Jews walking their dog these days. Hi, Yankee. I was just saying that we did a little bit of a reverse AOC, whereas she left a lockdown jurisdiction to join the freedom of Florida and live free and enjoy a maskless meal. Sitting down in a restaurant, and you're the reverse AOC. You're leaving the freedom of Florida to go to the frozen totalitarian hellscape of Legos, Quebec, so that you can report. So that you can report on the civil liberties infractions. You were out last night. Tell us what you saw.
Well, yeah, I left Florida. It was beautiful weather over there. What I saw last night, though, was not so beautiful. It was very cold. I'll be honest, I didn't see much. We got like a tip from someone that there will be a big protest. So we went, me, Alexa, and her cameraman. And there were like 5 people protesting. And as soon as the cops showed up, they left. That's all that I saw. But you know, yesterday during the day, all the stores are supposed to be closed. Oh, what happened over there? Like yesterday during the day, all stores were supposed to be closed. Yeah, that is some of my cell phone footage. That is not the best, but Alexa has better footage. There was better footage. I was doing other things while filming. All stores were except essentials, which does not include groceries, were supposed to be closed yesterday. Some did defy, but most stores were closed yesterday. Only like pharmacies were allowed to be open. And I like went to stores, pulled doors, they were all locked, or most of them. And yeah, this is footage of the cop showing up, and we actually went to speak with the cop. He told us to go home. We said we're staying, we're reporting. He said, we're telling you kindly to leave. I'm like, I'm not protesting, I'm just here to report. But as soon as everyone else left, journalistically, there was no reason for us to stay, so we left. We circled around all of Montreal. We didn't find much resistance. Everyone is just home, I guess. Everyone decides to just stay home and follow the rules. You know, I came back hoping that I'll see some resistance here or see something. Or maybe the people are just going out and living their life and the police aren't enforcing it. Only time will tell if maybe that is actually the case. So far, I don't know.
How did this compare to like the first few nights of past lockdowns? Were those typically more people out in the streets, or was it similar and then over time it ramped up?
So last time it started on January 8th, if I remember correctly. I wasn't out until the 13th, until like I decided that, hey, I actually need to go out. I was in for the first few nights. It was bad the first few nights then, but also when they moved back the curfew last time from 9:30 to 8, there was a big riot. David Menzies and Mocha covered that in downtown. There was a protest, I believe, Saturday night, and AD to pull it up. I think 57 people were ticketed at that protest. So that's probably like everyone that was at the protest. So 57 people out of a province of 8.5 million people, 57 people only see a problem with it? I don't know. The way is civil disobedience. I think if everyone goes out, I think that, they won't be able to ticket everyone. And I don't think everyone needs to go protest. I just continue living your life. Ignoring what the government says is the way out of this. Not like protesting, sure, like go protest, but it's just continuing living your life. I see some stores, they don't have big signs, we're open. They don't have big signs, we defy masks. They just don't care. They just let you do whatever you want. If you come and wear a mask, if you don't wear a mask, they don't care. They're open. I saw some stores open yesterday that were not supposed to be open. They were open, and they don't care. They're just staying open. They're not going to put a big sign. They're just going to continue living life, and I think that's what people need to do, continue living life. Eventually, the government will give up because they won't be able to enforce it.
Well, isn't it sad that just living your life is now protest? Like Sheila said, just religious people going about their normal business, people not going out of their way to intentionally protest, but people just trying to live their lives are now considered freedom fighters and rebels.
Yep. Yeah, a lot of people just want to live their lives. And I'm not sure what night this is. I definitely was not there if it was last night, but I think this is a Saturday night, or maybe it wasn't New Year's. New Year's, there was no protests, at least of what I know. I personally was in Florida enjoying my last 2 nights of freedom over there.
Now,
that sounds nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, Yankee. The lack of resistance makes me sad. You've only been back a couple of days, maybe even a day. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that there's such a lack of resistance to this? Are people broken in Quebec? What's going on there?
I think a lot of people are broken. A lot of people just gave up. And I think a lot of people live in their bubble. They actually believe what they're being told by the government, and they just follow the rules because they think that will get them out of COVID, right? Out of the restrictions, as just get vaccinated and you'll be fine. We'll be open forever if you just get vaccinated. Just get the booster and you'll be fine. And people believe that. I think, especially in Quebec, people are just buying what the government are saying on a different level than everywhere else. I don't know everywhere, but a lot of other places at least.
I'm just going to put the word out to people who are watching. If you have a question for Yankee, please send it to us in a chat, in a hyper chat, in a Rumble rant, in a Super U shout. If you've got a question for our friend Yankee that you want to know about the streets of Montreal, or rather, what it's like living in the free state of Big Ron's freedom utopia, let us know, because Yankee has lived both ways and reported both ways. So I think he's got a very interesting perspective on everything. He left Montreal and now he's a pickup truck driving Floridian. It's really something to see the evolution of Yankee Pollock.
Let's be honest, he was always a pickup driving Floridian. He just relocated.
It was in his heart. Now it's on the outside. It's on the outside of his body.
Yeah.
I'm actually wearing the perfect shirt for coming back to Quebec. I don't know if you can see it.
Yep.
Hey, Yankee, where'd you get that shirt?
Rebel News.
RebelNewsStore.com?
Yeah,
Yep.
I believe it says thank you for the free trial of communism, but I would like a refund. I think something like that.
Yeah, I'd like to cancel.
Well, I'd like to cancel it. I'd like to cancel it.
Yeah. Except
Rebel
you
News
didn't
Store.
cancel. You came back for more.
I didn't want to come back, but I received hundreds of, I don't know, I shouldn't say hundreds. I received lots of messages from people begging me to come back, especially my mom. She was like, now you have a reason to come back. But she might be watching. But yeah, a lot of people messaged me. They're like, we need you back. You were out there. You were telling people, showing people what's going on. Please come back. Please come back. I'm like, why haven't you moved yet? I just believe everyone should move away at this point. if you're not willing to fight, just move. I don't know. Like I think it's a lost cause here. I don't know. Shouldn't be saying that. There's a lot of good people out there fighting, but not enough, I guess.
Now, I wanted to ask you, Yankee, where are you headed next? So, are you headed back to some of the more Jewish neighborhoods to see how they're treated in the evenings? I guess particularly Friday night would be of interest, given that that's when everybody goes to synagogue.
So there's another issue right now that no houses of worship are allowed to be even open. So that's a daily issue.
Right.
So far it's been quiet. I'm keeping my eyes open. I tend to not go to places where the police doesn't bother. It's simply because I don't want to shine a light on people living their lives because I don't believe it's newsworthy. Sure. If I see the corporate media or the police starting to harass people for living their life, I'll be there wherever it is. I keep an eye out everywhere. The B-roll that's showing these two people that were walking home from class and they got ticketed that night for just studying, and the cops would not, and they had curfew exemption, the cops would not honor it that night. And we emailed the SPVM about it. They wouldn't answer, as usual. So yeah, like we'll keep an eye. I actually, right before I went live, there were cops going somewhere of interest to me, but they didn't. Like one of the stores that I've been following that does not enforce masks, but they just went in, nothing happened. But they're out there every day trying to harass people. They're just doing their job, quote unquote. But I see it as harassment. It's like they're not following their oath. They're not following the Charter of Rights and Freedoms.
Have there been any police officers like Constable Brian Dennison who have publicly spoken out, decried this, done anything like that, or are they all pretty much rank and file?
I haven't seen. There was in the beginning of COVID, there was one cop I remember. And give me a second here.
Okay, bye, Yankee. We're live.
No, I'm back. Someone just entered. I wanted to make sure that they don't talk. But yeah, so one cop, I believe it was a Laval police officer, and I think his store was vandalized after he came out against COVID, but that was like a year and a half ago by now. Other than that, I haven't spoken to any cops really since I came back, only one, and he told me to go home and warned me that he didn't say I'll give you a ticket. He just said, you've been warned, you need to go home. And I said, no, it's not happening, not tonight. But last time they were all just too happy to just do their job, quote unquote. They were like, we're just doing our job. Some of them were like, we're not any happier than you that we have to do it. But they just did it. So I don't think that has changed. A lot of police officers, I think about 500 of them are out sick right now because of COVID. They got COVID. And I believe they have mandatory vaccinations in the Montreal police. So don't ask me how. But so maybe they're just low staffed or they're focused downtown a lot. I haven't seen a lot of police enforcement the last few days.
I'm glad you reminded me that Quebec has closed all places of worship to in-person worship, which is absolutely outrageous. I don't even think China has done that. They just rewrite the Bible for you and tell you just read from this version.
They should.
But
Canada should be put on some religious freedoms list, which we don't have here. Alberta arresting pastors.
Yeah. Well, I know Senator Josh Hawley advocated for Canada to be put on that religious freedom watch list. And I can't see why we shouldn't be, given the treatment of the religious community here. Could you do me a favor, though, Yankee? A personal favor, but also as, the managing editor. If you wouldn't mind taking a cruise past one of the cathedrals, one of the Catholic cathedrals there, because I did see some images on Twitter. Andrew, you might be able to pull this up on my Twitter.
Yeah, I saw them praying outside.
They are holding mass outside in the snow because they refuse to stop saying mass. Now, that's not just a Sunday thing for us Catholics. We hold mass once, twice, 3 times a day, 4 times a day, depending on the size of your parish. So if you wouldn't mind just taking a wander past one of the Catholic churches or the bigger ones like the cathedral to let me know if they're continuing to do that, or is it just a Sunday thing?
I will. Do you know, like, I honestly don't know much about mass and stuff like that. Is it every day? Is it a certain time of the day? What time is it?
Every day, all day, always.
All day.
It's true. Pretty much.
I will check out, I will go out and try to see if I could see any masses taking out on the streets, because it's cold. It's really cold. It's, it's minus 15 today. Let me see.
Oh, I hope you survive.
I don't know. I was eating 2 a.m. Saturday night an ice cream outside, and it was plus 25. Okay. That's what I was doing.
Now, if you go for a drive outside, you'll get ice cream in your face. It tastes like snow, but you can tell yourself it's ice cream.
We've got one chat here for Yankee, which I think is great. Katrina Panova gives us $10 and says, thanks for coming back to Canada from sunny Florida to tell us the other side of the story, Yankee. Canada missed you. Yes, we did. I think the streets of Montreal missed you. And yeah, it's a big sacrifice, because not only are you sacrificing great weather, but you're also sacrificing normalcy to go back to tyrannical Montreal. So
I think
thank
we need
you.
to call Mr. DeSantis and make sure they don't let Yankee back. We need him in Canada. So I'll get on that right after the live stream.
We're calling Big Ron.
Big Ron. I still need to get an interview with that guy, but one day. Thanks for the super chat. But yeah, someone had to do it. I got asked to come back. I called Ezra, and Ezra said, he's buying me a ticket and getting me right back there.
Yeah, you really did take one for the team. Thank you so much,
Yankee. You're the man for the job, no doubt. You've killed this lockdown reporting. You're out there every night. The cops know you by name, even if that name is maybe a Juif, as they call you. But we're happy to have you on the streets. Thanks so much for doing this, and thanks for braving the cold for us.
Adam, do you have any more questions for Yankee before we let him go?
No, I think you should be out there covering this stuff.
Yeah, get out there. Check. Yeah. Mass times are always posted on the church website.
Yeah.
I'll have a look. Alexa's also in town, so maybe I know she's doing a secret report somewhere that you might want to know. So check out lockdownreports.com, make a donation, help us out over there, because Alexa's doing a lot of work. I'm here. What's that?
Yeah, that's true. Alexa's working on some very interesting secret reports, and you can follow all of their reports at lockdownreports.com, I think it is.
Yeah, lockdownreports.com. We haven't updated yet. That's Australia stuff for now, but it's going to come. I know I did a video yesterday. Alexa did a video last night with me, and there's going to be a video tonight, a video from Alexa today. So there's a lot of videos coming out that way.
Everything you want to know about how horrible Quebec is, you guys are going to be reporting on it.
Do consider going to that website and chipping in. Unlike lots of the mainstream media outlets who get millions of your tax dollars, whether you want to or not, we incur these costs for Yankee coming up here and doing these. So if you can help out, get Yankee out there, cover the other side of the story, unlike anyone else. Yankee, you're a popular guy. I'm hearing that we have another chat for Yankee coming through right now. So we'll get it on the screen before we let you go, I guess.
Yeah, it's from Becca Henderson. She asks, Yank the Tank, she gives us $1 and says, what's the difference between the citizens of Florida and the people of Quebec?
Knock joke or something.
I don't know. People in Florida just like to, people in Florida are very relaxed. It's too hot there to be, I was going to say, it's too hot there to be very active and stuff. People are very chilled and relaxed, but they also like freedom, and they don't like being told what to do. People in Quebec, I don't know. They just take it from the government. I don't know. They believe in what they say, and I don't want to. I know we're still on YouTube, so I don't want to go into details. They just follow. Let's say they follow the science, and I'll leave it at that. They just, I don't know.
I think I'm a Floridian. I think I
think
might
so
be a
too.
Floridian.
You would like it in Florida, being able to walk around with, armed and, with a firearm, going to the grocery, like you said last time.
Going to the
Well,
grocery
Taking a
store, the
selfie with
pistol on my
cop
hip.
while carrying. Right?
Alberta's kind of supposed to be Canada's Florida, but someone has kiboshed that. We had that opportunity. It was
Someone
there.
lied.
With adequate global warming, we could have had the warmth too, but fortunately, that's not shaking out either. It's minus 40 out here, so
I think it's global cooling.
yeah.
Okay,
All right,
Yankee.
thanks, Yankee.
Yanks,
Really appreciate
thanks
it.
so much. We'll talk soon. Thank you.
Hey, I think before we drop off YouTube here and say goodbye to everyone, I think AD's got footage here. You weren't the only one setting off fireworks. There were global protests. I guess lots of nations canceled or made fireworks demonstrations illegal for fear of whatever might be out there. But the citizens of various countries, freedom fighters generally like to blow things up. So I think AD has got some footage. I know Sheila certainly likes to. So people all over the world were setting off fireworks. Shockingly, when it isn't the government involved and the people just do it by and for themselves, the show is all that much better. So there's footage from places all over the world where fireworks were banned, often for the second year in a row, as you're seeing here. And look what the city did. Look how they responded. We're looking at Naples, Italy. Look at that show. Unbelievable. The whole sky is lit up. When there's fears out there or concerns about the spirit of freedom, whether people are standing up, that display of fireworks lets you know that at the very least, the silent majority, there is a bit of a powder keg there. And given the opportunity to set off some fireworks, they certainly will.
Those, my friends, were not gas station fireworks.
No.
Those were great.
Yeah, those were good.
Now,
those were made by Italian grandpa type fireworks.
we should talk about the just announced Ontario lockdown, and we're just going to talk about it without a lot of commentary about how unscientific and bunk it is. We're just going to talk about the just brand new announced Ontario lockdown, which just came down about an hour ago. Ontario is returning to step 2 of reopening plan Wednesday, which means the reclosing plan. We've gone to remote learning for students. I'm reading this from Toronto, a CTV News, so I think a different place than what Andrew brought it up at. Because I didn't have a link, so I just found my own. Anyways, Ontario announced sweeping new restrictions that will see schools closed to in-person learning until at least January 17th. So friends, we're back to another 2 weeks to flatten the curve. Did you realize that we're on year 3? 2 weeks to flatten the curve, by the way. Anyways, a ban on indoor dining. Gyms are shuttered and capacity limits are put in place for retail as COVID-19 cases soar in the province. The new restrictions, which also include slashing gathering limits to 5 people indoors and to 10 people outdoors, come into place January 5th and will be in place for 21 days. Oh, so 3 weeks of 2 weeks of 3 months or 3 years to flatten the curve. That's neat.
Oh, 3 weeks is now 2 weeks, Sheila. They didn't. You can get the government
3 weeks
memo.
is the new 2 weeks, like how 40 is the new 30.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Retail settings, including shopping malls, also have capacity limits slashed by 50%. Dining at restaurants, bars, and other food establishments must close. Takeout, drive-through, and delivery is still allowed. So, and I say this without comment, all the inside people have just suddenly become outside people. And by inside people, I mean vaccinated. Those who get to do things indoors, you're all outside people now too. Welcome. Anyway, let's keep going. Personal care services must reduce to 50% capacity. So Our feminist liberal friends will obviously keep their mouths shut as this largely female industry is leveled one more time.
Yep.
Indoor concert venues, theaters, and cinemas must close during this period. What about hockey games? Anyway, while school will be closed for in-person learning, buildings will be allowed to remain open for childcare operations and to provide instruction for students with special education needs who are unable to learn at home. I appreciate that, but a lot of kids can't learn at home, not just kids with special needs. During this period of remote learning, free emergency childcare will be provided for school-age children of healthcare and other eligible frontline workers. What about all the other moms and dads who are struggling to find childcare just at the drop of a hat, 2 days worth of notice? The government also said businesses and organizations are required to ensure employees work remotely unless the nature of their work requires them to be on site. Indoor meeting and event spaces must close, and public libraries are limited to 50% capacity. Museums, galleries, zoos, and science centers must close. I mean, yeah, just throw science centers in the garbage. I mean, we did that 3 years ago or 2 years ago already. Now I'm quoting directly, so I'm not making any judgments. I'm just quoting directly here. No, I wouldn't, you couldn't tell by the tone of my voice or anything. But as of January 5th, the government said hospitals will be instructed to pause all non-emergent and non-urgent surgeries and procedures to protect hospital capacity. The evidence tells us that about 1% of people who get Omicron will end up in the hospital. I'm curious, how does this compare to 1% of the common cold or whatever? I'm just curious. I'm just wondering what does the data show? Doug Ford said, that may not seem a lot, but Omicron isn't like the other variants. It's much more transmissible. 1% of hundreds of thousands is too many new patients. And that's the end of the story. They say it's developing, more information to come. So that's what's happening to Ontario. So no curfew, but basically everything that Quebec is getting. Great. With that being said,
anything I'd want to say can't be said on YouTube. So
exactly. So let's sign off of YouTube. Let's have everybody just, if you're watching us on YouTube, migrate over to the other platforms. And I'm getting a message on my monitor saying my internet connection is unstable because my kids are also on at home. By the way, they're probably on some Skype or Zoom call. But anyways, if you're watching us on YouTube, please move over to the other platforms of Rumble, Odyssey, and SuperView, and we will continue our conversation there so that we don't ruin our YouTube channel, because I don't want it to be me. I want it to be somebody else at the company who does it.
Won't be me.
Okay, great. We're all